All right, we are on chapter 4 of our verse by verse study of the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. Um, and like I said, we are going through this verse by verse, breaking it down, expounding on the different verses and the wisdom that is in them. So, with that said, we are going to go ahead and get started with it. And we are going to start at Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 4, and this is verse 1. It says, "My son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long. Make not a hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress." Okay? And let's see. Well, we're gonna keep reading and we're gonna expound on them because these are all kind of tied around the same concept, or the same topic. I mean, and not so. Neither don't provoke a man in his distress, and not more trouble to a heart that is vexed. Defer not to give to him that is in need. Okay? Reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from a poor man. Turn not away thine eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse thee. For if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. Get thyself the love of the congregation, and bow thy head to a great man. Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor, and give him a friendly answer with meekness. Okay? Deliver him that suffereth wrong from the hand of the oppressor, and be not faint-hearted when thou sittest in judgment. Okay? And some of these we're going to go back to, but the main ones we want to cover are these ones talking about the poor, okay, and the needy, okay. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to pull up, in fact, I had it pulled up here somewhere. I'm going to pull up some verses here in Sirach. I'm going to read some to you because, there's the way I would put it. Let me see. Let me get this all set up here. Okay. There is a there's a thin line, and this is the best terminology I could put it in. You want to understand from a biblical perspective according to the word, because I know when I read through those verses, I know what people hear, and what you have to understand is the Bible differentiates between the poor and the needy, because the Bible wants you, it's all through the word, it wants you to help the poor and the needy. But the Bible forbids you to help lazy beggars. Okay? So we're going to read through this so we could differentiate, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I got to help that homeless guy out there, or there's certain people that you're going against the word if you help them. And then there's certain people that you're in obedience with the word if you help them. So we're going to go through that, read that, and then we're going to come back, read through those verses again so that you have better understanding on it. Okay? And it's going to make practical sense to you. Because a lot of people play off of the benevolence of, saints. And yeah. So a lot of people get caught up in that. Alright, so what I'm going to do, if you give me a sec, like I said, while I was talking to y'all, I was pulling this up. We're going to get into these verses. I'm going to put them up here too. Okay, so the first one, it says, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 24, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Tribute means payment made periodically by one state or ruler to another, especially as a sign of dependence. So it's welfare. What they call today. I guess today it's called SNAP or something like that. Sirach chapter 12 verse 5. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby, for else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. So the word is telling you, don't give to the ungodly. So who would that be? Well, the word says you will know them by their fruit. Okay? When you see people panhandling out there on the street, and you heard these verses I read earlier from Sirach chapter 4, verses 1 through 9, and those verses come up in your hand, you're like, oh, I got to give to this panhandler. Nah, you're going against the word if you do that. Because the book tells you right here, don't give to the ungodly. How do you know if that man's ungodly or not? You got to be around them. The word tells you to gather yourselves together. Okay? It doesn't say this, give to some stranger, some person you have no idea who he is. He might be a Satanist. He might take what you gave him and take it to the Satanist temple or some crap like that. You see what I'm saying? And then you'll receive twice as much evil for the good you tried to do. Because you did it and you didn't do it according to what the word says. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 10 says, for even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. Again, how do you know if this person is working or not? We need to be grinding. You know what I mean? Getting after it. Okay? Ecclesiasticus 40 verse 28. So this is in the book of Sirach. It says, my son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. Okay? And it continues and it says, on verse 29, it says, the life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life, for he polluteth himself with other men's meat. But a wise man well nurtured will beware thereof. So you got to be aware of people. And like I said, as a head of assembly in the past, I've seen people who prey on the benevolence, on the kindness of people, and just sit there and wait. and just try to leech off people, you know, and dependeth on people and just drag people, you know. And it's gonna talk about it in here. I think verse 10. When we get to verse 10, it's gonna talk about how, you know, people. It tells you to be a father to the fatherless, Like, you want to nurture people who have a desire to get to where they need to be, and you know, it's gonna be very clear who you need to help and how you need to help them as we read through these Bible verses. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 30. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in his belly there shall burn a fire. Okay? Give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Okay? So this is real clear. Okay? It's telling you to give. You can give, but they need to be a righteous man, a godly man. What does righteous mean? Not a religious man, not somebody who just hallelujah, this, that, and the other. Because look, there's people, they'll be right around you, right in this, putting on, you know, operating in a religious spirit, putting on a good act, but they're really not godly. They're not about this book. And the only way you're going to know that is being around folks. You will know them by their fruit. Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. So that iron could sharpen iron. You know what I mean? So it tells you to give to the godly man and help not a sinner. The only way you're going to know that is being around people for a period of time and observing. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 14. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient towards all men. Okay? So again, it's like, you know, hey, you can help people. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 7 verse 15 tells you to hate not laborious work, labor, working, like physical work, where you getting after it. Neither husbandry, which the Most High have ordained. Husbandry is farming type work, agricultural type work. The Most High ordained that. And it tells you don't hate it. So, you know, if you're a person who has a sedentary job where you sit all the time, you still need to, when you're not at that job, in your free time, when you're off, you need to be getting after it with laborious type work. Okay? Proverbs 20 verse 4. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg in harvest and have nothing. Okay? So again, we talk about, I do a lot of videos on being prudent, thinking ahead. You know, but here in our assembly, like the younger brothers, man, we push them hard to get after it now, so that in the future they're not scurrying trying to figure stuff out. To maintain your health, so you can, in the future, you're not struggling. You know, Proverbs also says, "Consider the ant, thou sluggard." Okay, and if you're just tuning in, what we're doing is we started reading we started reading Sirach chapter 4, or the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha chapter 4, and what we're doing is we're defining through the word the difference between the poor and needy, which the Most High does tell us we must help. So poor and needy people, righteous poor and needy people, okay, and we're showing the difference between that and a lazy beggar, which the Most High tells us do not help. Okay, so we're just going through defining this. Okay, so Proverbs chapter 20, verse 4. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg in harvest and have nothing, and have nothing. Okay? All right. Ecclesiasticus 12:1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it, so shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits. Again, you need to know who you're doing good to. So you can't just go out there, hey, somebody needy, here, let me give them this. Somebody begging under a bridge or at a exit, off the highway. That's what they be at a lot. Or at an intersection, you just giving them money. You don't know who you're doing good to. And like the word said here earlier, it said you'll receive double the evil for the good that you did. Let me see where that was at. Even when we were... It says, do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back. It's telling you to hold back thy bread and give not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good that thou shalt have done unto him. Okay? So, know to whom you're doing good to. Okay? Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go to, because that was, we were identifying who the lazy beggar is. Now, we're going to go to the poor and needy. So we're going to identify who you should be giving to and helping and assisting. Okay? So let's go to that. Okay. Let me make this beautiful. Okay. So we're going to start. Okay. We're going to start with Sirach chapter 12, verse 5. It says, do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. So we read that one earlier. Or we just read that one actually. Leviticus chapter 23 verse 22. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather in any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your God. So Most High told him, hey, when you harvest your crops, leave the corners for them. It didn't say harvest the corners and give them to the poor. No, let them come and get it for themselves. And see, the lazy beggars, they're lazy. They don't even want to come out there and put in any work. And it's why it says, let them starve then. If a man don't work, he shouldn't eat. If he's not willing to go out there and glean the corners of those fields and get that, that's on him. It's a sign of how lazy they are. Okay? Proverbs chapter 14 verse 31. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him have mercy on the poor. So it's telling you to help the poor. Okay? But again, remember, the godly, not the ungodly poor. Okay? We got to keep that in mind. Not beggars. Okay? We got to keep in mind what the poor are. The people, they're working. They're being obedient to what the word says. They're just struggling. Help them. Give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Okay, we read that earlier. That 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 14. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient towards all men. Okay, and we're gonna define that feeble-minded. I forget what that was. It wasn't what I remember. It wasn't what I thought it was. Okay. I'm gonna look that up in a blue letter. Cause blue letter. Yeah, I can. Okay. So y'all give me a second. I'm gonna pull that up. First, yes. Okay. Okay, let me. All right, there we go. Let's see what it says here. Okay, I see what I did. Yep. Y'all just bear with me. I'm just trying to get all the meat off the bone. Okay, first this. Okay, there we go. Alright, so okay, look at this. See, when you look up feeble-minded, it you know, the worldly definition you could say is having a weak mind, lacking in intelligence and firmness. Okay, but the biblical word or definition, so the Greek word for it is little-spirited, faint-hearted. So it's telling you to comfort the faint-hearted. And definition of faint-hearted is lacking courage or resolution. Okay? So people who struggle being bold. A firm decision to do or not to do something. It's telling you to comfort them. I think I did a show on that not too long ago. And that Greek word, you might be able to hear this. Listen. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
Strong's G 3642. Aligopsuchas. Aligopsuchas.
So that's the word. Aligopsuas. Okay. I think y'all could hear that. But when I played it, but if you couldn't, I said it. Aligopsuas, faint-hearted. Okay, people who don't have that courage, that boldness, you know, or as we like to say, folks who are soft. You know what I'm saying? Push them. You know, help them, comfort them. You know, and that comfort. You know, people are like, oh, it's okay, you dumbass. You know, it's okay, you little stupid idiot. Everybody understands, no, you gotta, hey, man, this is what you need to do to come up out of it. Help him, you know, develop boldness, you know? And it tells you to support the weak and be patient towards all men, okay? All right. Let's continue. Okay, so Sirach chapter 4 verse 8. Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor, and to give him a friendly answer with meekness. Okay. Again, that's from what we're reading right now. Okay. And we're going to read a couple more. I'm not going to go through all these. I just want to make sure y'all understand you do help poor and needy, but understand you don't help lazy beggars. And I just want to make a clear line so there's no blurred lines on who you need to be helping. Okay. That guy begging, at the overpass, at the intersection, you shouldn't help them. You'll know those people are. There are brothers and sisters around you that you shouldn't be helping because you don't know what they're doing. You gotta identify. You gotta know your brother, know those who labor among you, know who your brothers and sisters are. From what? From having built a relationship with them and being around them for a while. Then you could determine who you need to help. If you're getting frustrated and you all, the sign that you're going against what the word says is there's dysfunction and frustration and aggravation. You know what I'm saying? The sign that you being obedient to the word is there's peace. So yeah. All right. It says the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. And we read that earlier. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread and give it not unto him. And we read that one earlier. Lest he overmaster thee thereby, for else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. Okay? So a lot of people they're eager to help because it gives them a good feeling inside and all that. And then in doing that, they're not doing what the word says. Okay? All right. Let's continue. Let's get back. What we're going to do, we're going to get back to our study. We're going to pick back up and we're going to read through this. Okay. So now with that understanding, we're going to go through this again. It says, my son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long. Again, poor and needy. Make not a hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress. Okay? So when people are going through stuff, be there. Help them, Don't do things to piss them off. And sometimes, again, these are people who are in alignment with the word. A lot of times, every time you turn around, people are going through stuff. Like, cause I've seen that. I've seen people, every time you turn around, it's something. And it can test your patience. These scriptures cut me because I'm telling you, sometimes folks will constantly be going through stuff. And sometimes it's a combination of folks aren't listening. They're being stubborn. They're not being righteous. They're not being godly according to the word, But again, we have to exercise that patience and not, not get caught up in that, and always be discerning. Hey, is he moving righteously or unrighteously? Okay. Add not more trouble to a heart that is vexed, and defer not to give to him that is in need. Okay, so what I'm going to do, vexed is difficult and much, or vex. The way they're using it here is annoyed, frustrated, or worried. Okay? So, again, this is where, you have to be patient dealing with people. And look, like I said, this cut everybody. This is something where, hey, I've run into difficulty that I'm working through. Okay? Because, like I said, it can be, it can be difficult. All right. Reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from a poor man. And this doesn't just mean financially. This mean it could be poor spiritually, poor in understanding, all that. And when people are needing help, don't turn. Do what you can. Turn not away thine eye from the needy, and give him no occasion to curse thee. For if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. Give thyself the love of the congregation. Get thyself the love of the congregation, and bow thy head to a great man. So it's telling you to humble yourself, and you need to be up under somebody who's on another level. Like, that's how you're going to level up. Okay? Let it not grieve thee to bow thine ear to the poor, and give him a friendly answer with meekness. Okay? Deliver him that suffereth wrong from the hand of the oppressor, and be not faint-hearted when thou sittest in judgment. Okay? So it says, set the wronged. We're reading in the CB version, a breakdown of verse 9. It says, set the wronged free from the hand of the wrongdoer, and don't be timid when you give judgment. Okay? And we're beginning to go into something else here. But yeah, look, what that looks like. Listen, man, I can tell you, being a head of assembly, dealing with brothers and sisters coming out of this world, coming out of the deception of this beast system, and we have a culture that was given to us, particularly as black people in America, the culture given to us in this country. And I could tell you, I experienced it firsthand growing up. I was a child in the 80s. I was a teen and a young adult in the 90s. And I watched the culture literally morph into a culture designed for my destruction, known as the hip-hop culture. I watched and experienced firsthand the birth of gangster rap. And I didn't think it really had an effect on me. And then I look back at myself and the way I was moving in the 90s. And by the grace of God, I made it out of the 90s and of that gangster rap culture. I made it out alive. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, that thing hit my mind so hard. That culture, watching that thing come up, being a part of that hip-hop culture and all that, I mean, it was so strong and so powerful in giving me a false identity of who I thought I was, trying to be a thug, trying to be a gangster, trying to do all this, emulate what was being pumped through to me through the media and the people around me, man. I just barely made it out of that, into my mid-20s. In my mid-20s, the age of 26, that's when the Most High started waking me up. But I knew something was off. And it's up to us as older men, even as younger men, if you get this and you see this, it's up to us to deliver him that suffereth wrong from the hand of the oppressor, and to not to not be faint-hearted when we sit in judgment. But I was talking about the first part. Like, this is part of helping the poor. You know, it could be poor in understanding, poor in wisdom, poor financially, all that. It all ties in. But, you know, this is the elephant in the room you don't hear about. But, I mean, man, I came so close to destruction, you know. Yeah. And then right after me, the generation that came, I don't even know I wouldn't even say it's the generation that came after me. There were people I knew that were 2, 3, 4 years younger than me. Man, by the time that thing fully ramped up, that gangster rap thing, like right after I graduated in like 93, 94, y'all, by 1998, this is over in New Jersey, Crips and Bloods, like those younger people I knew that were behind me, they were getting caught up in Crips and Bloods, and I knew people going to jail for doing gang stuff, like literally a couple years after I graduated. It was crazy. So, yeah, man. And we need people, you know, I needed back then somebody vocal coming down the middle and not being faint-hearted when it's time to judge, you know, or come down the middle with stuff. Let's read this here. It said, set the wrong, don't be timid when you give judgment. Like, bro, sometimes you gotta come down the middle. You understand what I'm saying? Cry loud and spare not, you know? But anyway, we're actually gonna get into that a little deeper in a couple more verses. It says, deliver him that suffereth wrong from the hand of the oppressor, and be not faint-hearted when thou sittest in judgment. So when you sit in a position to deal with situations and to judge stuff, okay, don't be timid. Okay, verse 10, be as a father unto the fatherless, instead of a husband unto their mother. So shalt thou be as the son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth. Okay, so be as a father unto the fatherless. You know, doing what I've being a head of assembly here, dealing with a lot of brothers and sisters, you run into a lot of brothers and sisters who didn't have a father in their life. You know, I know particularly in the African American race and the black race, I know that is an epidemic. I know if you study COINTELPRO, it was done on purpose. There was a declaration to destroy the black family by the government in order to keep us oppressed. You know, the word says children are their oppressors, and their women rule over them. You know, they've taken crafty counsel to cut us off from being a people. And I'm saying that because I see it all the time, man. Unfathered men just really wrestling with deep core level masculinity issues and stuff like that. And we're called to, when we get this wisdom, when we truly have a biblical understanding, we're called to be a father to the fatherless. Okay, and There we go. So, verse 10, be as a father unto the fatherless instead of a husband unto their mother. So, don't be so concerned with trying to, run through their moms or something like that, Be a father to the father. So shalt thou be as the son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth. That's heavy right there. Okay, the Most High, he puts a big emphasis on this thing when, again, I've done videos on the unfathered man and how lost you could be when you weren't raised by your father. Where that takes you out to. When you've been raised by women, like that, you have major missing foundational building components on you as a man when you've been raised that way. 11. Wisdom exalteth her children, and layeth hold of them that seek her. Okay? So now we're getting back to the wisdom. We were it was talking about helping the poor and the needy, and like I said, that's not just financially or with food, it's also with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay? But it says here, wisdom exalteth her children, and layeth hold of them that seek her. He that loveth her loveth life, and they that seek to her early shall be filled with joy. At a young age, you need to be seeking wisdom. You need to be getting wisdom and understanding. And again, earlier in this, we define wisdom. And just to sum it up and make it real simple, is the Most High's way of doing things, the biblical way of doing things in a biblical righteous way. That's what wisdom is. Okay, the Bible culture, living your life according to the way the Word directs you to, and not this wicked beast system that is set on your destruction. And like I said, my perspective growing up as here in America, as an African American, I have witnessed firsthand and experienced the deceptive, crafty counsel of that they've rolled out in this culture they've given us, known as the hip hop culture or the African American culture. How they took it, a culture we had that we had kind of created our own in the 60s, 70s. They took it and controlled it and used it as a weapon to destroy us, and it's been the most effective weapon in our destruction since we've been a nation. And because we do it to ourselves now. When you talk about the destruction of the family, when you talk about the abortion, when you talk about the hip hop culture, when you talk about this culture where any man that would be a talented business owner, military warrior, governor, leader, all of our great men, what do they direct them to do? They direct them to entertainment. People who would be like great generals and leaders of men and lead a government for us and as a nation, what are they doing? They're playing football. They're playing basketball. They're rapping. People who would otherwise be brilliant speakers and stuff, they're rapping and encouraging our people to destroy each other. Make it make sense. It's done by design. The ones who can see that and don't go down the route of rapping or playing sports, and decide, what do? They join gangs. And then they go to jail and they become slaves, 100% slaves to the system. Slavery never stopped. This is why I talk about, people be talking about Jacob's trouble. and it's sad to hear people break down Bible prophecy, because what's so sad and pathetic about prophetic biblical breakdowns is you hear the Greco-Roman, Catholic, European influence in end time prophecy biblical breakdowns. And the reason why that's so destructive is because these other nations have never experienced the oppression that we are under. We are under an oppression right now that, unless the Most High cuts it short, we'll be destroyed. Jacob's trouble started right after Rome came in there and destroyed us from being a nation, and it continues to this day, worse than it's ever been in the history of man. If you look at the abortion alone, we are dying at a rate we've never. Like, they don't even make it out the womb and they're murdered. We've never, even during slavery, it wasn't this bad. And you look at that, the gay-for agenda, the destruction that's causing, how it's cutting our lineage off. The medical and the diet one might be above everything. I can tell you, I go out there, I work on cars. I go out there to the black neighborhoods, man. You see the older black people. The older black people are in their 40s. You hard pressed to really see people a lot older, and they, like, if you see them move, they've frozen up with acid. Like, their health, I can't tell you the number of people I talk to. I'm working on their car, and they're telling me, hey, they gotta go do dialysis. It's crazy, man. Like, I see this thing firsthand. I have a unique position. Some of our clients, because we do other mechanical work too. Some of our clients are like from other nations of people, like India, China, stuff like that. Man, these nations are thriving. It's night and day different. It's beyond night and day difference. So anyway, y'all, I went on a rant. Get back on topic. He that holdeth her fast shall inherit glory, and whosoever she entereth, the Lord will bless. Okay, so 13. Okay, that's verse 13. We're talking about wisdom, getting this biblical man, we got to come back to this. They that serve her shall minister to the Holy One, and them that love her, the Lord doeth love. Whoso giveth ear unto her shall judge the nations. Whoso giveth ear to what? To wisdom, to getting wisdom. Proverbs tells you, what all you're getting, get wisdom and get understanding. It's tough. Man, these books, the beginning of Proverbs. Look, Proverbs is 31 chapters. I think it's 31 chapters long. Y'all, it's like the first 8 chapters or more is pleading with you to get wisdom and to get understanding. This is something important. And then it does the same thing here in Sirach. Okay? Whoso giveth ear unto her shall judge the nations. It's talking about wisdom. And he that attendeth unto her shall dwell securely. If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession. Woo! Do you hear that? This has generational benefits. Okay? For at the first she will walk with him. Y'all, listen to this. This is a heavy one right here. I like this one. Listen to this right here. It says, for at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. Listen, what it says, initially you're going to try to be obedient and walk wisely. You're going to try to be obedient to the Most High's way. And what it's basically telling you, it's going to be difficult at first. What do I talk about here? You got to endure hardness as a good soldier. Worthy men are formed in the furnace of adversity. Worthy saints are formed in the furnace of adversity. You got to be willing to endure adversity and difficulty, because it's going to test you. That's what wisdom's going to do. It says, for at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways. So you're going to be stumbling. You're not going to be able to do it right. And then it says, and bring fear and dread upon him. And torment him with her discipline. This is how it is coming out of this unrighteous, screwed up, wicked, beast system, Greco-European culture. This is how it is when you're coming out of it. Coming out of this manufactured hip-hop culture that was given to you for your destruction. This is how it is coming out of that. Okay? There's fear, there's dread, there's torment, until she may trust his soul. So until you become trustworthy, until you trust in it, until wisdom is able to trust you that you're real. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to test you. And then it says, then will she return thee straightway unto him, and comfort him, and show him her secrets. You see? But initially, it's just going to be like, but you got to know that this is the truth. But if he go wrong, she will forsake him and give him over to his own ruin. That's for the stubborn, the stiff-necked, the rockheads. You know what I'm saying? Observe the opportunity and beware of evil, and do not and be not ashamed when it cometh to thy soul. It should say to thy soul. So observe the opportunity and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it cometh to thy soul. Okay? One of the things says, beware of evil. Like that Bible verse says, be vigilant, be watchful, for your adversary as a roaring lion, he's seeking to destroy you. So you got to beware. You can't be this inattentive, clueless person just walking around waiting to bump into something. Okay? And observe the opportunity. And I can tell you, the brothers and sisters that are part of Straightway, the opportunities everywhere to grow, to develop, to get wisdom, to get understanding, to grow as a man, to grow as a woman. For there is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace. So there's a righteous shame. Okay? Accept no person against thy soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. Okay? I mean, that's straight up. The way I said, don't like a lot of people will idolize men and think they're perfect and all that. Man, all men are flawed. All women are flawed. You know, we're all flawed. We're not perfect. And I've seen a lot of people, particularly unfathered people, they tend to worship men and not the Most High. And you don't put anything in front of book. You know what I mean? The way I say it, if it don't line up with book, it is what it is. Like, if folks line up with book, hey, follow them. You know what I'm saying? But if it don't. You know? Okay. For there is a shame, and there is a shame. Okay. So accept no person against thy soul. Let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. Let me read that in 22, the first part. It says, don't show partiality to your own hurt. So, and don't show respect to your own downfall. Man, it says something totally different. So yeah, it says something totally. And basically what that first part is saying is, don't accept people even when you know that they off, basically. Like you could discern and see somebody off. Trust that. Okay? And refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good, and hide not the wisdom in her beauty. A lot of people sit on their talent. The Most High is giving you stuff. He wants you to multiply it. Cry aloud and spare not. Don't hide your wisdom. When you, oh no, I'm going to just keep the peace. That ain't book. For by speech wisdom shall be known, and learning by the word of the tongue. Okay? So you got it, this wisdom ain't going to get out there unless you speak. If no wise speak against the truth, in no wise speak against the truth, but be abashed of the error of thine ignorance. And that word, abashed, we're going to define it. Okay. Embarrass, disconcerted, ashamed. So it says, in no wise speak against the truth, but be abashed of the error of thine ignorance. So it's telling you to be embarrassed of the shame of your ignorance. We're going to read it in the CEB. Don't contradict the truth, but don't be ashamed when you don't know the answer. Okay? So that's it in there. But be abashed of the error of thine ignorance. It's telling you to be ashamed of the error of your ignorance. Now, well, here in 26, so I kind of combined them. It says, don't be not ashamed to confess thy sins, and force not the course of the river. And in 26 it says, don't be ashamed to confess your sins, and don't force the flow of the river. Make not thyself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty. Okay? And don't show partiality towards the powerful. Okay, so that makes sense. In a nutshell, it's saying you got, in a nutshell, all these verses, it's basically telling you to don't be ashamed, don't be fearful, speak up. If you need to confess your sins, confess it. If you need to call some shit out, call it out. Be bold. Spare not. Don't hold back. Okay? Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Okay? So it's saying don't operate in the spirit of fear, in a timid spirit. It's telling you to speak up. You know? Don't be this timid pushover. Okay? Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. So don't walk it like you talk it. That's what it's telling you. Okay? Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants. A lot of people think being as a lion in your house, they think that's walking around yelling or something, but it's more, what does a lion do? They're aggressive. So don't be overly aggressive. Okay? And don't freak out. Hey, look. And that's cutting me, because I can, sometimes I'll be, in the past, but I'm working on not being a lion. You know what I mean? In my house, like being frantic, like, hey, let not thine hand be stretched out to receive, and shut when thou shouldest repay. Okay? I'm going to read 30 again in the CB, where it says, be not as lion. It says, don't be like a lion in your house, putting on airs among your household slaves. I'm not even sure where they're going with that. So that was different. But, alright, let's see. We're going to go. So, we'll see y'all in the comments there. We're going to see what y'all talking about there briefly. Because that is the conclusion of chapter 4. Hope y'all got something out of it. Like I said, some of those verses there, like 25, 26, sometimes you just got to read them, and you'll have a group of verses just talking about one idea and concept from different angles. Brother Athen Mason 79, he put let's see if we could put that up there. He wrote, yeah, I went through that too. In 1995, I was into Wu-Tang heavy, and one day Most High told me to stop listening to rap music, and he said it twice. I threw everything away. Wow. Man, that brother, that is good. Hey, look, I didn't do that. Like I got into it. I would say by about around 2000, 2001, I really began to see that stuff was off. I couldn't pinpoint it, and I was kind of in and out of music and in and out of Christianity. And like I said, at about 26, I said, yo, this Christianity is off. Like I said, I'm done with the church. I'm going to figure this out myself. And I went on a path, started studying like self-help stuff, self-development, relationship stuff. And that led me down the path back to the real word and to the real truth. And I saw where the church was off and everything was off years later. But yeah, it took me a while to... But yeah, man, that thing was deeply ingrained. Man, it was crazy. And then they talk about that meeting they had in the 90s. I think it was like 95, 96. No, actually, it's before that. I think it was like early, it was like 93, 94, before hip hop was mainstream accepted, where they had that meeting where they didn't know who it was. It was some type of government entity or something. Me personally, I think it was the CIA or something. And they met with all the record labels about how they need to, and in the meeting they basically told the record labels, keep signing, only promote the gangster rap and invest in these prisons, because we can get these people incarcerated and make a ton of money off them and enslave them and destroy them. And they went, and there was a guy who talked about it. I did a whole show on it, and he witnessed that thing. He left the meeting, but he said years later he saw that whole thing carry out to a T. So, yeah, man. Crafty counsel to cut us off from being a people. So yeah, y'all. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Yeah, it was definitely a good show. You watching Spiritual Combat. That concludes the verse by verse, chapter 4 study of the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and shalom, shalom.